Nearly 300 drawings make up the premier exhibition of The United States versus Private Chelsea Manning at the Criminal Justice Gallery, one of the Paul Robeson galleries at the Rutgers School of Law in Newark. Artist Clark Stoeckley sketched everything he saw during the military court-martial of Chelsea Manning, then known as Bradley Manning. The intelligence analyst had uploaded numerous military files to WikiLeaks. The WikiLeaks releases included a controversial video dubbed Collateral Murder, showing a helicopter attack which resulted in the deaths of 2 Reuters journalists and Iraqi civilians. The video would be a key motivation in Manning's decision to leak the material.
So this video was the most horrific thing I had seen, and pretty much all of us had ever seen, coming from the Iraq War. Shortly thereafter, I was fully investigating everything WikiLeaks was publishing and wanted to focus on this kid who had done the right thing, who was morally disturbed by our actions in Iraq.
Activist as well as artist, Clark quickly took to the streets with a WikiLeaks truck.
I decided I would buy a box truck and turn it into this fake news van, someplace where you could come and learn about WikiLeaks if you didn't know about it, or get your photo next to the truck. The fake news van was the hook to get you into the serious topic of what it said on the back, release Bradley Manning, because this was the most secretive trial in our history.
I think Clark is absolutely obsessed with his subject matter, and I love working with artists that have that kind of degree of obsession, because it means that they've really thought through what they're talking about and it carries through into the work.
Clark and a team of bloggers attended the trial proceedings for 18 months, determined to document an important story getting little media exposure.
This was the first time that anyone going to a journalistic organization was being charged with aiding the enemy. And it was one of the few times that anyone was charged with espionage for going to a journalistic organization. But when it came to covering the trial, the mainstream media just fell flat.
Manning, who'd been held in prison, still seemed an invisible figure.
The courtroom sketch artist was not regularly attending. I felt somebody needed to change that there needed to be images coming out every day of the proceedings.
So Clark began sketching, sharing a drawing a day to social media and online journalists.
Immediately at recess, I would scan it and tweet it, and then by the end of the day, I would ink it up, and that would go into a story. I challenged myself to have a tighter style that was more of a comic or cartoon. And then I would take the drawings back to my studio and take the transcripts and add speech bubbles. After I had tried a couple of those, I realized that it needed to become a graphic novel. All of the drawings in chronological order, the best nuggets of transcripts, concise, but also comprehensive, and covered everything that had happened from day one until the sentencing. I also felt that graphic novel was a perfect medium because I view Manning as a hero, a real-life superhero. I felt that she needed a comic book. And then after that, I was left with all these drawings. That's the new life of them, is the finished drawings framed and ready to go for a gallery exhibit.
This exhibition is obviously a very controversial subject matter, and it's perfect in the sense that there's one issue about the case, and then there's one issue about how this case has been presented to the world at large. And certainly anybody who's interested in criminal justice would have to look at how the actual justice processes work, and then how they're portrayed to the society at large through media channels.
The court rules didn't allow any kind of t-shirts or buttons with supporting messages for Manning. So the support network decided to come up with these t-shirts that simply read truth on them, and wore them for about a year of the pre-trial. And the first day of the trial, some guards decided that these would be offensive, and so made everyone, what we called the Truth Brigade, turn their shirts inside out. I found this to be very ironic and symbolic, so I quickly drew this, because the idea of truth being turned inside out was what was going on with this trial. In fact, the government didn't want to see truth, and that's as plain as it could get.
Whether you agree or don't agree with some of the conclusions that Clark has reached in this kind of broader kind of critiquing the government and the way that this case has unfolded, it's a very interesting subject matter because it's not cut and dry. Obviously it's through his filters. It's a very personal approach.
So in February of 2013, Manning offered a plea, and in doing so gave a 70-minute statement where she took full credit for all of the leaks and explained why she did it. She was offering 20 years of her life. It was somewhat of an olive branch to the prosecution that they chose not to accept. I saw this moment as the most courageous experience ever. I certainly believe that courage is contagious, and that's why the drawings are in law school right now, being seen by future lawyers and human rights activists and social justice campaigners. Whistleblowers are few and far between, but they deserve the recognition and the protection for speaking truth to power.